Hey folks, AshevilleThingsIndustry.com. So what we're doing now is we're going to add acrylic, hard acrylic, ortho acrylic to the cameo surface of these Bruxism splints. I've started this one already. One of the things you can see is I burnished tinfoil onto the cast. When I vacuum form, you can see the clarity difference. Does it make a difference in functionality? Definitely not. Does it make it look nicer? Perhaps. In any event, what we need to do now is, like I said, add ortho acrylic, and I'm going to show two different ways. I'm almost completed this one. I'm going to show you how we salt and pepper. I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to do this. This is two that I know of. We're going to salt and pepper just to make the final additions to this splint, and in this one, let's place this onto the cast. Actually, let's start beforehand. So I have the cast articulated in maximum intercuspation. This material is approximately almost 2 millimeters thick, so I'm not going to increase the amount of disclusion or the amount of opening, to make it simple, by changing the pin on the keystone articulator, because I'm happy with the thickness we have already. But what I am looking for is when we do start to add acrylic, you can see there we are right now, I'm looking to have bilateral simultaneous contact throughout the entire arch, and in my protrusive and lateral excursives, I'm looking to have disclusion of either the contralateral arch or the posterior segment during protrusive movements. And I'll show them, doesn't make any movement. It's kind of fumbly, and I'll show you what we're going to talk about. So to add, I've tried the salt and pepper to add to the acrylic, add to the surface here. As well, one point I didn't mention was this is all bumpy. So as the patient is bruxing at night, this could have the potential of locking up the patient and possibly increasing the force to a condyle. That's fairly controversial. I'm not going to go down that road. But what I'm looking for is just a skating rink to ensure we have proper disclusion and eccentric movement. So I'm going to sort of add this when this is in a doughy form. So let's just take, a lab tech taught me how to do this for something else. So we're just going to add some monomer. There we go. Polymer, powder. We're just using, like I said, ortho acrylic. Should be sufficient. Now we're just going to lightly, gently mix this. And he does that, he taught me that to ensure that to prevent the inclusion of air bubbles. Alright, we'll let that set for a few minutes. Okay, so now we've had sufficient set. You can kind of see it's a little bit shiny. We're going to get more into the doughy stage. And this will aid in placing it onto the Bruxism Splint itself. So here's our Bruxism Splint. I'm just going to take some monomer, paint it on the outside. So we're in a nice doughy stage. There we go. Of course, everything falls when you don't need it to. Now remember, because of the hinge of the mandible, we have approximately 50 millimeters. So the initial hinge, you're going to get 3 millimeters of any opening in the 1 millimeter opening in the posterior segment equals 3 millimeters of opening in the anterior segment. So we need to add more to the anterior. It's a fairly well known little number. things I did do is I steam cleaned the opposing cast, just to make sure I don't get any of the articulations from before, from previous into it. And now it's doughy enough that I'm not going to, it's not tacky and sticking to my cast. So we've got way more than enough. I'm just going to add some more monomer just to make sure it's successfully adhered. And now what we can do is we can actually cut back the excess. Things you can do, the great thing about an articulator you can't do intraorally is look through the, right through the back of the mouth. Okay, so just about going to place this in the pressure pot. So I took a 15 blade, lightly removed some of the excess here. And one of the things I am going to do is I'm going to ensure that I have a little bit of overlap at this stage, just so I can create that the proper disclusion that I want. Just roll that up. Can see where I'm going to need, I will need to add a little more on approximately right there, so we can do that right now. Take a little ball that's still just remove the seam. So there's our excursive pattern. There's our protrusion at this stage, while it's still soft, and our excursive on that side. And also remove some of the palatal portions. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until we put that through the pot. So the next stage is we're going to place this in the pressure pot under heat and let it set. Cheers.